guys can do so at any second. By all means, do what you guys need to do. Right. Okay, that's going. That's going. That's going. Okay. Are we on the point of a super cycle? Is the question of this live. Are we on the point of a super cycle? Is the question we want to do, because a major financial institution may have said that's what's going to be happening. And we're going to be going through what that means. We're going to be going through some other informational data that's coming out, other really interesting things that are going on, where Bitcoin is, what's happening in the markets, warnings, cool things, bad things, the whole jazz. And I'm going to say to everyone, welcome to the best finance and cryptocurrency show in the world. I'm Alvarez. For anyone that doesn't know who I am, I've been in this industry that seems like forever, and I've made over 7 figures and done a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm doing this because I want to educate everyone in this industry that, you know, you don't just have to listen to people just repeating the same thing over and over and over again and not giving any value at all, right? So I'm all here about giving value. If you guys want to give even more understanding, go and check out the Alpha Hunters group. It's in the bio. I'm going to be talking about it a lot. It's a cool place. It's an amazing place. The community is amazing. People are there to help. A whole bunch of stuff. Free. It's like there's a whole things there to just benefit you and to benefit you completely. And that's what it is. Now, what's happening? Let's get Bitcoin out of the way, right? Let's get Bitcoin out of the way. I just want to get Bitcoin out of the way so we can understand what's going on, what's happening, so we can have a bit of a clearer understanding of what's going on. We have a humongous amount of things to get through today. So it's going to be an action-packed show, really cool things going on, and we can go from there. Now, in fact, let's not go with Bitcoin. Let's not start with Bitcoin. Let's start with what happened with the S&P 500 today. Was nothing short of what is going on. It opened up at 6,700. Then proceeded to have a miraculous recovery of over 2%. Now, 2% doesn't seem like a lot, but when the market is multiple countries worth of value in it, for it to go up 2% is wild. On top of that, we had a enormous VIX spike, and on top of that, we had oil do something silly, and on top of that, and this is where the real thing question mark comes in, and I'm going to get back to it, the dollar is rising. But we will get back to that, and we'll come back to what's going on that situation. Now, as you can imagine, Bitcoin also went through some interesting movements. I'm going to look at Bitcoin in general because it is basically the largest model in the market. And if we look at total as well, in fact, we'll look at total, right? We look at total. Total had some amazing. What is going on here? Let me just get rid of some of this stuff. 1 second. Let's shoot on total. No, we'll keep it on Bitcoin. It's the same thing. Total and Bitcoin is very similar. Bitcoin had these amazing up and down, left, right, and center, pumps and dumps and pumps and dumps and pumps and dumps. And now we're at this situation right now where we're rallying again. Yes, oil is dropping, and I'm going to get to that situation, but that doesn't mean everything. I'm going to explain to you why. Now, if we look at the market as we speak right now, there is a real chance that we could be in for somewhat of a more prolonged move in the market. Somewhat, right? Somewhat in a more a prolonged move. And I think this could go as far as potentially to the end of the month, right? And I'm saying potentially by the end of the month because it's just potentially by the end of the month. And I think that we could really test these zones around the 75 upwards. But there's also something else I've noticed. And this is all dependent on a lot of things. So I just want to explain this, and we'll get to that as we go along. if we start looking at Bitcoin on a larger time scale, if we start looking at it in a broader, larger time scale, right? I'll make this bigger so we can see on the screen. We're developing, and you guys know who I'm going to be talking about now, right? Because only the coolest people in the world can really understand who this person is. And it's only very few people who can really gather the real strength of this man. But we might be developing a bull flag here. Right? We could be developing a bull flag. And you know what my main man says, the guy that has changed everything in this industry, the real future of what is reality and what is the, you know, the person that has actually created most of the liquidity in this market, we go up, right? I mean, it's a bull flag. I'm just joking. I'm joking. So we could be in for something interesting here, right? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to move to more an upward movement in Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that. This is, a lot of people just point to this and think that this is going to be the only thing. There's a lot more things that are in play here. But what this basically plays on is that whichever way this breaks is going to dictate where the whole market goes, because Bitcoin is the totality of a lot of them, the total market cap. And in fact, you know, wherever direction Bitcoin goes, the market follows. Now, if we can actually break above this and do the bull flag, right, and we go up, we could, and I mean this just with a pinch of salt, please take this as a pinch of salt. And this is just my thoughts so everyone understands. We could go as far as like 85. We really could go as far as 85. Now, if I was to, yeah. We could go as far as 85, 84, 85. We really could go as far as that, right? So, and I'm pointing more towards a bullish movement because of this very key fact, right? And again, these are not 100%. It's really difficult to really play these in the manner in which we're talking about, right? But if we play this market, we seem to be holding on to onto a very key support zone, a really strong support zone, right? And because we're so close to this area here, it gives me more confidence, and this could change. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of things that can move in this direction, right? It gives me more confidence that this thing could potentially rally from here. Whether it is to the 75, to the 74, or even we could go and see a larger push towards the 84 to 85, we don't know. But it's looking like this is the direction that we're going to be going in. And you're saying to me, Mr. Alvarez, where is the liquidity going to come from? I'm going to get to that. That is a question I'm going to get to. You guys got to like this. This is really, really cool, right? Now, part of this recovery that we saw in the S&P 500 that we saw here, the SPX of the S&P. By the way, if anyone doesn't know what the S&P 500 is, it's the 500 of the most valuable companies in the USA. It basically is the yardstick of the strength of the USA, right? And USA economy and all this kind of stuff and everything else that's going on. By the way, I'm going to say this to you guys, right? I need a minimum of 50,000 likes on this live, because I'm going to read to you word for word what my buddy who runs an enormous hedge fund told me. I'm just going to say this to you. And I'm going to leave you guys with a warning. Because when he said that to me, right? When he sent me his message, I instantly called him up and was like, what does that mean? She was like, I kind of know what that means, but explain to me what that means. So I'm just going to explain that to you. I want you guys to understand. Okay. Where are we right now? Now, guys, anyway, look, whatever was done and everything else, please listen to the show. This is really, really important. And anyone that's new, make sure you follow, make sure you do all the things that you need to do, because I give the type of information that no one else gives. I appreciate it. Hello, Mario. I appreciate you being here. Now, part of why the S&P 500 had a crazy move is partly because... Oop, that's not it. Get rid of that 1 second. It's partly because of the data that came out the other day. I mean, if we look, and by the way, people on the Tickety Talk, right? You should not be able to see this. No, you can't see it, right? If you want to see what I'm showing you, you need to go to, 1 second. Let me move this out of the way. What was that? Move this out of the way. You guys want to see what I'm talking about? Where did that go? You need to go here to see what I'm showing right now, right? Part of the reason why that is, right? Part of the reason why that is that the ISM PMI, right? You're right, Mario, well done. Came in really good, right? I mean, I just want to say this. The information in the markets at this present moment, right? What is happening in the markets right now is so confusing, because it's pretty much changing month on month, right? But this PMI print, basically anything above 50 means growth, right? And it's not only that, it's the second print in a row that's showing growth. Hello, EcoFusion, I appreciate it. Oh, 1 second. I've just forgot to do something. 1 second. I have just forgot to do something. Well, I'll get back to what was being said. 1 second. 1 second. I need to make this, it's more impactful if it's French. 1 second. 1 second. I forgot to put it into the alpha babies. 1 second. Where's the alpha babies? All right, there we go. There's the alpha babies. Done. Is it gone in? Hello, alpha babies. Work. There we go. Alpha babies. Done. So yeah, in this scenario right now, we're only, and I mean this in the best way possible, we are basically one print away from a trend, right? And when we are in a scenario where we're one print away from a trend, and the trend is growth, that's crazy, right? That is an incredible moment that we're sitting in, which is an amazing thing, right? We could be on the verge of a progressive growth structure. Furthermore, a few more things that I want to explain to you right now. If we look, and you ask me, where is this money going to come from, right? What is the scenario that we're sitting on right now where we're actually going to see this liquidity come from, right? Because we need liquidity. We need to have liquidity come into the market for this to be the case. Well, remember I said to you guys that the dollar is starting to gain strength. And it's not just the dollar that is gaining strength. America is starting to see a resurgence of the demand for the dollar. Not just because of oil and everything else on that level. We're seeing other markets that are supposedly strong, showing real weakness. And what this is showing right now is bonds, European bonds, right? Debt. And they're having people sell them at an astronomical level. And that selling is going directly into the US market and to US debts and US debt bonds. all of it is moving, and it's seeing the USA finally again, right, to have this liquidity move back in to the USA, which is an amazing scenario right now. So we're seeing a short-term liquidity injection into the USA, which is going to bring in a lot, as I said, a lot of spill-off, because cryptocurrency does well on spill-off, right? And that is going to get is bringing liquidity into the market. But what a report came out today also gives a reason why we're seeing liquidity come into the market. And the liquidity, unfortunately, is going to be placed in very few clusters. So you have to be careful. And I will explain to you where those clusters are going to be. So we're seeing liquidity move. We're seeing people start to fuel money into the USA, and the USA basically are the real forefront of this market moving forward. But, and I'll say this in the best possible way, we do have certain outliers that we need to be careful of, and I'll come to that in a second. Now, on some positive news, right? Or should I leave the news to the end? Should I leave to the crypto news to the end and go through where I think only Crypto King knows where market is going from here? He is one and only king who can measure accurate with perfect lines. He only uses 2 lines. That's the amazing part of him. He only uses 2 lines, and those 2 lines dictate how the whole market moves. It's incredible. It's one of those amazing things that he's been able to do. Now, what's happening at this present moment? And let me ask this question. I want you guys to be the drive the direction of this mark of what I'm going to be doing today. Should I talk about relevant bullish potential news of what's coming in and what it's pointing towards? Should I talk about where this idea of the supercycle comes in, or should I talk about the letter that someone that I know sent me that scared the bejesus out of me? Scared the absolute bejesus out of me. Which one should I do? Where should I start from? Should I start from the bullish news? Should I start from why we'd be sitting in a super cycle potential, or should we talk about the interesting bullish news that's going on? Now for the letter, hello Fefe, how you doing, my man? Hello everyone, appreciate everyone coming into the tube. By the way, if you're on the tube, you see what's happening on my screen, apart from the graph. The letter is gonna take some work from you guys. I'm gonna need like at least 50k likes. That can't be too difficult with you. You guys are in a there's almost over 100 and something odd people here. Just a few likes. Just press that, the hot button. I don't mean much. I don't want gifts. No one gives me gifts anyway. Why would anyone want to give me gifts? All right. Let's start with potential bullish news, right? No. I'm going to give you the potential bullish news and the really interesting things that are going on at the moment, right? First things first, right? If anyone has any thought that the stablecoin and the stablecoin act is not going through, and it's not going to be one of the most bullish things in our industry, in history, in every form of understanding, I'm going to show you something that's just been announced. And I bet you guys didn't know about it. Did guys know about this? Did you guys know about Visa launching a stablecoin card that's going to bridge 100 countries? Did you know about this? Did you know that a company such as Visa, which has 137 million customers, right? Thank you so much for saying that, Christoph. It means a lot. 137 countries and 137 million users is launching a stablecoin card that's going to be running on cryptocurrency payment rails. If anyone is in question that this Clarity Act is going through, believe me, bruv, it's going through, right? Believe me, bruv, it's going through because it's gonna be on. If you go to the tube, it's on Bridge. It's gonna be anyway. You'll see. If you go there, you'll check it out, right? If you Visa doesn't do stuff like that, right? And doesn't spend it, but they probably spent 100 million on this to do this, right? It doesn't do that if it doesn't have an understanding of where this thing is going. And I'm going to get to a point why things like this is unbelievably scary for banks. And I'm going to show you a video of Jamie Dimon basically pooping his pants, right? Basically sitting there going, well, you know, if stable coins want to do this, they need to be a bank like us. Only banks can do what you're saying, right? Only banks. You know, you need to be a bank to do this, right? Because we're a bank. And yeah, we're not afraid of whatever this new system that's going to be doing. So again, another amazing, huge amount of liquidity that's going to be coming through. So that's one. Another thing, I'll show you something even cooler, right? This is super cool. Where did this go? Oh my God, did it go? Did I lose the thing? Anyway, I'll tell you rather than showing you. The second thing that's going on is the Bank of Japan. The Bank of Japan have created a stable coin. How can I say? That's the best way to say it. Stablecoin sandbox, right? The stablecoin sandbox is a financial framework, not XRP, but financial framework. It could be XRP. It's probably not. That creates programmable stablecoins. Remember the video I showed you? Not conspiracy theory at all. Programmable stablecoins that will interact applications 24/7. So it doesn't have to be a payments structure where within the banking time working hours. So it will be the system where, for example, you need to do a transaction and you have the paperwork where that stablecoin is programmed to say if these things are settled, you will get your payment or the payment will go through, and you can do transactions between all the way through all cross banks, cross borders, cross aspect payment. Probably XRP is going to be involved. It didn't say anything about XRP. It said it was its own banking rail that they control, which makes sense. Because why would you give it to XRP that will take away the control from you? But it could be XRP, $1 billion and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's a huge thing. We're actually seeing bank adoption of stablecoin utilization, and it's going to be run within certain chains. I would say highly start looking at the big three. In fact, the big two. The big two, right? Look at big two. Now, let me show you Jamie Dimon's video. This is something that you guys need to watch. If you ever want to see fear in people's eyes, right? It is this video of him. Just because apparently this interview was done, right? If anyone, by the way, wants to see it, you guys can go and check it out. Let me just put this here so you guys can see what it is. You can go here and see my screen, right? On the tube. If anyone wants to understand what apparently this interview was done, I'll give you a bit of a context so you understand what's going on. This interview was done after Jamie Dimon had a big argument with Coinbase, the head of Coinbase, right? It's because of giving yield and interest and this and the other. Because up until this point, that has been the preview of only banks. Banks are only allowed to give interest, and of course to be able to give that, you need to go through a enormous amount of red tape. And guess who controls the red tape? I'll give you a clue. Who controls the red tape? Who controls the red tape that Jamie Dimon is talking about? You know, the head of JP Morgan, the world's wealthiest, most powerful bank in the world. You know, that guy. Who do you think controls those things, right? Let me play this so you guys can know. It's about 1 minute 60, right? No, Jamie Dimon controls it. That's what JP Morgan controls it, right? It is only the most valuable bank in the world. But anyway, Like, look at the way he talks. I just want you to go through this so you can understand. All right.
With Coinbase's Brian Armstrong over the Clarity Act and specifically this idea of crypto exchanges offering rewards for stablecoins. And Armstrong was on CNBC with Sarah Eisen a few weeks ago from Mar-a-Lago, and he said there's a path forward for the market structure bill that's a, quote, win-win outcome for everyone. How are you feeling about it right now?
Yeah, so the banks feel strongly that there should be, rewards are the same as interest. And that, a compromise would be that you could pay rewards on transactions, not balances. If you are going to be holding balances and paying interest, that's the bank. You should be regulated by a bank. So we've been firm.
Like you,
one thing over here, yes.
Like
if you want to be a bank, become a bank. Then you can do whatever you want under bank law. So I remind people, and your viewers may not know, banks have restrictions and requirements. FDIC insurance, AML, BSA, we have Community Responsibility Act, which means we have to open 25% of our branches in LMI neighborhoods. We have social requirements. We have liquidity requirements, capital requirements, transparency requirements, reporting requirements, board requirements, governance requirements. If they want to be a bank, so be it. So what we base is level playing field by product. It can't be you have these people doing one thing, without any regulation like that, and these people do another. And if you do that, the public will pay. It will get
really
bad. So
the public's going to pay.
Take a deep breath. What is you want to and we want competition. We're actually one of the biggest users of blockchain. And we created the JP Morgan deposit coin. We've moved money real-time payments. We're moving a lot of data now using blockchain. So we're in favor of competition, but it's got to be fair and balanced, level playing field. It can't be completely skewed.
And the risk
for the safety of the system, not just the fairness of competition.
Yeah,
right, to your point about FDIC insurance.
Well, AML. What about are they? We have
money laundering.
I say we have money laundering requirements.
He's
for
terrified.
Terrifying. Which I think is good. To some extent is good because you want a safe financial system as best you can make it.
That, gentleman, is what a scared banker looks like. Right? I love the way he's saying, it's the consumer that's going to pay for it. The consumer, not the $1 trillion, not the $1 trillion bank that controls and makes money of all of these things, right? That pays you this much insurance, this much, like they're like, okay, I'm gonna give you interest. Here is 0.01%, but then we will take all of your deposits, fractionalize it, and lend 50 times that, and that's got nothing. It's about your safety. It's your safety. It's not about us. It's not about like it has to be a level. It has to be a level playing field. It can't be that this thing is easier, less red tape, and easy to access. It has to be more red tape, difficult to access, and we have full control over it. That's how it works. That is the system, and we love crypto. We love crypto. It is. I'm telling you, it is the future, but it needs to be in the future where it's exactly the same of what we have now. If it's exactly the same of what we have now, we love it. This is the best way. It means that we have no fear and but we love competition. We are the bastions of the competition, and we are doing this for the benefit of you. We are doing it for the benefit of you guys, the pure public, because banks have never done anything that has caused any issue to the people. They have never done anything that has caused any problems. They are all about regulation. They're all about staying above board. Nothing that they do is anything like that. And the fact that a simple payment rail for stable coins, which will allow everyone to have low level of friction and a whole bunch of other things, right? They don't want to see that. That's not important to them. It's about you. But that's where we are right now. That's the situation of what we're playing with. So and you can see right now, the only thing that is causing problems in the market for this Clarity Act to fall through is the sheer fear, the sheer fear of there being a system that will cause everyone, and I mean everyone, what's this? And I mean everyone to run to a system it will run to a system that will be endlessly easier, one of the biggest moves, and it will be something that will play extremely well for the market. But again, alas, we sit in a scenario where we have to play within the field of where control and power is, and those things are all going to play against us until we have that factor. Now, you guys want to hear about a supercycle? Do you guys want to hear about a supercycle and why a company, a small company, a company that has not really done much in this world, nothing that has any level of power or looks after. God, did this just go? 1 second. Or have any level of strength or anything on that level. A small company named Fidelity. Have you guys seen Fidelity's report on why it thinks we're going to be going through a super cycle right now? Because they came out and said it. By the way, if anyone wants to know who Fidelity is, they manage trillions of dollars. Not small money. We're talking multiple country levels of liquidity that they control. And I'm going to go through it and explain a little bit if you guys are okay with that. But I've seemed to have misplaced the report, funnily enough. Is it? Are you joking? All right, let me just find it. Okay. 1 second. That was dumb. All right, let's try and find this again. Yeah, here we go. All right. You guys want to know why they think it's going to be a super cycle? So you guys want to have a look through that? Why is this not... Where did this go? 1 second. Yes, lol. All right, let's go through this. You guys can read it, by the way. I'll give you the link if you guys want to. Make sure you follow and put it into the comments below, and I'll send you the link for this thing, right? But let's have a look through. By the way, if anyone wants to see it again, I don't want to be that guy, right? But it is here on the tube, right? Now, let's go through why. Fidelity. Why have you blocked my dad? He watches you every night. He misses your life. What? I don't get involved with that. It's just all to do with everyone else. I don't know who that is. That's a really strange message. Anyway, whatever. We have moderators, man. I don't know. I apologize if that's the case. I don't know who your dad is. Anyway, whatever. So where are we right now? Right. Okay. Now, maybe has an old account. Oh, I haven't. Yeah, maybe this is the new account because my other one was moved for a whole bunch of things. Now, let's go through what it is saying, and I'll give a bit of the cliff notes. I'll give a bit of an understanding of what's going on, but basically, what they are saying, right? What they're saying. Hi, David. I can't read that. What is that message, man? Who's your dad? Man, Gus, stop. You don't know how. Please don't do that. That's not good, right? Basically, what they're saying, right, is that the idea of a 4-year cycle has changed, and it's not what it used to be. What Bitcoin goes through is not the understanding of what people expect the cycle to be anymore, right? Everything has changed. Everything is not what it used to be. The whole understanding of what the cycle should be has moved because of actually two key factors. One, right? Where's Crypto King? It's right in front of you. What are you talking about? Let's not get crazy, right? Where are we right now? One second. Let me just bring this up. Sorry, I can't see the chat. There we go. All right. Okay, cool. It basically runs down to two things. One is volatility, and two is the type of investor that has now become the majority holder of this market. Calvin says it's still 4 years, but but we just can't read the charts like him. No one can read the charts like him. And I mean no one. He invented charting. What are you talking about? You know, Fibs is named after Calvin. You know, his middle name is Fibonacci. He created Fibonacci. He actually went, like, because his lineage is so old, like he comes from such a long line of statistical and mathematical geniuses. His lineage is Fibonacci. That's why his middle name is Fibonacci, and that's why he works on those. And that's the crazy thing about him. Like, you know, his leaflet is world inspiring. There is no way that my life would ever be what it is without that book. So it's incredible. I would highly recommend anyone that wants to experience enlightenment. If you're a Buddhist, get his book, right? Because you're like enlightened instantaneously. Now, I always thought he was Italian. Of course he's Italian. Can you not see with the hat? When the hat is sideways, that's what Italians do. Now, let's go through this, right? Let's go through it. It's a really interesting document. I will go through as quickly as possible because I know a lot of people don't particularly like too much in-depth information, but I'm going to give it anyway because, you know, whatever, it's my show. I don't earn anything from this, and you guys don't give me any likes, so I'm going to do whatever I want to. You know what I'm saying? Rev. And by the way, if anyone on the Tickety Talk wants to see it, you guys have to just go to here and you'll see everything that I'm showing you. Now, what this graph shows right now is that all-time highs in price and all-time lows in volatility, right? So what it's showing is that in previous cycles, the period of time between periods of high volatility and low volatility dictates where we will see, I know, did they just call it that day 100? Thank you so much. I appreciate it, right? You're missing out on my dad's likes now. I don't know who your dad is. Who is your dad? Why am I even asking you this? This is such a weird thing. Just write, who is he? Who are you talking about? Missing out on my dad's likes. Anyway, whatever, right? What was I saying? All right, yeah. And you can see here, like various cycles from 2012 to 13, you see periods of low volatility and we're going into areas of high volatility, right? And usually when you see high volatility merging into low volatility, it marks what could be described as the lows, right? It describes where you start seeing accumulation and growth start happening, right? And we see it through various the previous cycle and the cycle before that. And we saw that in the previous cycle before that, that between the 2021 and 22, it took 2 years to get to an area of low volatility in price. But, and this is where the really cool, what's that sound? Okay, it's not, all right, that was weird. But what we see in this run, where we saw the top I don't know who that is, right? What we see, it's not there's no chance, right? It's what we see is that the top that was in November, December last year, which was the 113, what was it, 112, 120, whatever it was, 123. From that period to where we are now in May, I mean, February, right? End of February, which this goes to, is that volatility has dropped. So in a very short period of time, the same indicator that pushes towards a what describes and what Fidelity describes as a bottoming out has happened. It's in February. It saw that in February. Now, if we go on to a few other aspects that they're looking at, it also goes on to the reason why they think that is because of the type of investor that we're going through at this present moment. Initially, in the previous cycles, we saw the 4-year cycle because the type of buyer was us. We were buying. We were going through cycles. We would go to the top, we would sell, and it would restart again. We would go through high levels of volatility, and then it would come to an area where there's low volatility, which is basically everyone leaving the market. It's quiet time, there's no sound, and then that volatility would bottom, and then it will start up again. But now we're seeing two major different investors. We have the singular investor, which is ETFs, and we also have institutions. And they are a different type of investor. They're a different profile of investor. And if this correlates it to is that if they look at on-chain exchange accumulation of Bitcoin, and it majorly looks at Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is basically the market, right? If they look at on-chain utilization of Bitcoin, such as Binance and Coinbase, it's on a downward spiral. So less people are actually buying it on the exchanges, but more people are buying it through ETFs, and more actual everyday buyers and institutions are buying through ETFs and actual institutional buying, right? So that changes the way that this understanding and this understanding of the 4-year cycle is not relevant anymore. Now, if we go through various other aspects that we go through, right? This is basically what it's describing it. And we look through the cycles that we've seen, right? These are all the bull cycles that we go through. Maybe some won't be as boring as we're going to get there. We look at the previous 4 runs, including this one, MVRV cycle, right? Which is basically the percentage between those in profit to those that are not in profit, and the multiple of that size. And we see this, and this is where it's interesting. This is where it shows that volatility shrinking. We see that in the previous cycles, the MVRV score has hit, this was at 4 point, like almost 6. This at 6. The one was 5. The other one was and above multiple levels. Even the one before that, we were sitting around a 4 to 4.5 multiple. And what it's showing is that in the previous runs, people that held Bitcoin saw 4, 5, 6x multiples of their account. And that's what caused this massive level of volatility, because all those, that the amount of weight in their wallets would mean that they would sell. But what we see on this run, is barely a 2x multiple, which shows that narrowing of that band that we're seeing throughout the market, which is a huge thing, right? We also go on to the pull multiple, right? And the pull multiple also describes the exact same thing. The pull multiple, in essence, describes how much volatility is in relation to profit and price, right? And what we're seeing within the previous cycles is that there was high volatility and high price. And these two factors coming together would equate out, because it would be like, okay, the volatility is high, but the profit is enormous. So it's easy to gain and understand. Thank you so much for all the likes. You guys are absolutely incredible. It means a huge amount. Honestly, the likes and the gifts and all that kind of stuff, it just helps with the algorithm, and you guys are absolutely incredible. And if you're liking what we're doing here, make sure you follow the channel as well. I give a lot of information there. It means a lot. Now, what this is showing in the previous runs is that there was high volatility but high profit. But what we're seeing here, because of the multiple that we're seeing, that volatility is almost static. you see this volatility to the profit margin is static, and what that causes within holders of what Bitcoin is that they're less likely to go through these crazy volatility moments as we see in the markets as we're looking at right now, and how previous ones done. So it's another indication that volatility is coming down and down and down. Now, this is a very cool graph. And this is exactly and this is a graph that they've created themselves. It is, in essence, the profit volatility cycle, right? And it describes what multiple that we should have seen in relation to what we are seeing. And it equates to a number where if it's below 0.01, that shows a extreme low volatility to profit ratio. And what this is describing is that if we were to see the same level of volatility in Bitcoin, its price should have peaked above 300,000. But it peaked at 120, I think it's 123, I can't remember the exact number, right? But it peaked nowhere near that, which is showing a difference in the form of an investor, and that this level of what will be described as a retail understanding is not there. So in essence, what this is saying, and this is the cool point for everyone that waited here and is to understand to the ultimate crescendo of what this is. It's describing, and there's one asset. There's one asset that went through something like this, very similar, really similar. And I'm going to give you guys 126. Okay, well, 3,000. I'm going to give you guys a moment to try and guess what asset went through a very similar thing and what the progression of that asset was, where we saw massive high volatility. Then we saw an easing out of volatility as institutions started entering it, where it gained an ETF, and then where it sold its next progression. Eli, can you stop being right all the time, please? I want other people to answer. I know you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? But he's right. It's gold. And the progression of where we're going to is just an average, uniformed, low volatility, low time period of bull and bear market growth that gold goes through. And what they're saying is that it's just going to be a gradual move where bear markets are going to be extremely short, where it will be a sharp pull down because we've seen all of 17 lower lows, where it will be a shorter period of volatility, where we will then go into a next stage of understanding where we will just grow on a linear fashion that if we look, this is not me saying it, by the way, this is just the report so you guys understand. That if we look, we see a linear growth path for Bitcoin. This is what the document is alluding to. And it points towards the factors of institutions coming in, stable coins being a factor, and the fact that is going to bring in, and this is their number. This is their number. So you guys understand, this is the number in the report. So if you guys want to make sure you say, I don't know, write report on in the things and I'll send it to you. This is their estimated in the next 5 years to bring in $700 trillion. Just so you can understand how insane amount of money they're talking about here. It is, yeah, gold was 800 before ETF, exactly. So you can understand what this actually means, right? They're basically saying that with the institution and the development of the stable coins and this new development of a new financial system, world financial system. They're basically describing that this is going to replace the financial system. It's not XCN, bro. Okay, it's not XCN. I love you, bro. That means a lot. All right, that means a lot. It's such a. And he was like, XCN. I mean, maybe, who knows? I don't know. I'm messing around. So, yeah. Now, this is their report, right? And I want it to be very clear. This is their report. I'm not saying anything, but this is and they've been wrong multiple times. I'm not going to say anything that they hold 100% level of truth. But bruh, yeah, they're saying 400 trillion total currency, but they're basically saying it's going to be the evolution of the financial institution and currency in the world. That's what he's saying. And gold is going, Bitcoin is going to go. I mean, when he's talking about that, he's talking about actual transactions and movements within the system, not just the actual value of it. So it's like he's saying that this thing is going to act like gold. And if you look at the amount of transactions and the currency movement that goes through gold, we're talking about, like, it's basically saying that Bitcoin is going to get to a point where it's going to be millions of dollars. Millions. So yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting report. If anyone liked what I was talking about, goddamn, right? Goddamn, all right? That's what I'm gonna say. It's a crazy thing. So we'll see what the situation is. Now, take all of this with a pinch of salt. It's this sort of thing. I think that number is like, you know, the amount of transactions and the way it's gonna grow and all this kind of all that kind of jazz. So whatever, we'll see what happens with that scenario. Now, shall we get to what my friend sent me? Should we get to... Wow, you guys have got me all the likes, man. 50k likes. Yeah, you're absolutely incredible. Amazing people, honestly. I kind of agree to the point, which is why I'm just DCing Bitcoin forever and holding. Yeah, I know. It literally, after I read it, I was like, should I be... I think I need to buy more. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a huge amount. So if that happens, I will be that king that will have certain amount of days in the week, once a week, where anyone can come and ask me for anything, and I'll just buy it for them, right? I'll just buy it for them, because YOLO, I own half the internet. Basically, that's where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be literally. That's gonna be me if that happens. But I think this is ultra long term. We'll see what goes on with whatever. You know what I mean? We'll go through that. Now. Okay, throw me one. I'll throw you. Don't worry, man. I'll throw you a Bitcoin. It's all right, bruv. It's all right. Michael Saylor will become God. I think he will be the religious leader of this world if they don't, you know, remove that situation from it. Yeah, whatever. Okay, now, do you want me to read this? This message that my friend, by the way, look, so I give you a context of who this guy is, right? I'll just give you a context of this guy runs a algorithmic hedge fund. And within the hedge fund, there's 4 funds and they're multi-billion dollars. So when this guy sends me something, and he always sends it to me in a way where it sounds biblical, right? It's the only way I can describe it. He's that type of dude, right? Because you know, when you're dealing with that much money, you have to be a different type of human, right? He's one of the most intelligent person I've ever met, and also tiring. You know, those type of people that are tiring, where you're just like, I feel like my brain can't hold the amount of stuff that you're telling me. But I'm gonna read it to you, right? Okay. Let me put this up there. I just want to put this here. Let's see if this is right. Okay, here goes. He goes, warning, warning, warning. I want you to keep this in the back of your mind. If and when gold breaks support, this is a big warning. it equates to liquidity stress, and it's no longer selective. When you see things like equity selling, bond selling, metal selling, and the dollar rising, and now if gold loses its support, we are entering something that I like to call full-blown liquidity squeeze. That's when margin calls accelerate, correlations go to 1, everything gets sold for cash, and we get cash is king regime. And this historically, that is how every major asset liquidation cycle begins. Brace for impact. That was the message he sent me. And I was like, 1 minute. 1 minute. What does that mean? What does that mean? Please, what does that mean? I'm afraid for my life, right? And what he's saying is this. He's basically saying is this. He's saying that we're getting into a point where people are choosing. I'm going to say, explain it in. When you say simpletons, I didn't understand what he was talking about. I had to call the guy. I was like, Brev, what does that mean, right? He's saying is that at this present moment, we're seeing an evolution and a direction into cash, not into gold, not into stocks, not into safety assets. And usually when that happens, I'll explain it this way. The 2 times that has happened, I wrote this down. The 2 times that happened was in 2008 and 2020. These were the nearest times that exact process happened. And that then equated to one of the biggest market crashes in history. The 2008 crash and the 2020 COVID crash happened in the exact same manner. And he's saying to me is that this market is heavily leveraged. He's saying that this market is got supreme levels of uncertainty. It's going to a market where there is supreme level of liquidity stress, and we're seeing the dollar rising and people actively choosing to be in cash than in any asset. And he goes, that usually causes a downward spiral of liquidations, and that then causes what can be best described as a black swan breath. Right? And now I kind of wish I didn't call him, because I was better with me just trying to figure out what he was talking about. But that's what he was talking about. So I'm in this scenario right now where I'm a bit like, well, okay. But he would say this. He goes, I'm preparing my fund for that. And I was like, what? He goes, I'm preparing. I haven't heard you say 7 figures for a long time, crypto investor. Are you already 8 figures? I don't like to say that, because people then, I don't want to, whatever. It's fine. I'll say this. He's saying, I'm preparing my fund for the biggest buying opportunity that you'll ever have in your lifetime. And I was like, bro, can you just talk to me in a way that I don't feel like there's a biblical event that's going to happen? He goes, no, just be careful. Because if you see that there is a choice to be in fiat, in the dollar, if their choice is that, then you need to understand that they are forgoing inflation and the loss of the value of their money, and to live in the cash is king environment, because they believe that the whole industry is about to go down. And I was like, okay, what is the chance of that actually meaning? Like, what's the chance of this happening? He goes, well, he goes, markets can be resilient a lot that's going through, but we're seeing the telltale signs of all of these things moving forward. So now, whether that has any level of validity, I don't know. I'm just repeating what he said to me. But I am short term pretty bullish. I'm pretty bullish short term. So I'm gonna stay on the literal top signal. Was you saying your friends behind the scenes were saying we were going to the moon? Sorry, what? Literal, which behind the saying we're going? What are you talking about? The big print. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the scenario. If it's a top signal, buy as much as you can. I'm literally saying I am bullish short term. I don't think he means tomorrow. I don't think he means left, right, and center. But it does make sense when you see some of the largest investors in the world in heavy cash positions. That's all I'm going to say. Look around. Which financial institutions are heavy port long into assets at the moment? I showed you a graph the other day where retail is holding up the S&P 500 and institutions are selling as much as they can. Now, whether that has any validity to reality, I don't know. When you see institutions that are giving out reports saying, "Oh, we think it's going to be a super cycle," I usually like to believe the opposite of that. It could be next year. It could be 5 years down the line. Markets can be very resilient. But if I was to say and look at this market, I wouldn't go, "Yeah, bruv, that's a strong market. That looks healthy. That looks like a really healthy market that we're in right now." I would be like, "Yeah, everything is great." Yeah, you know what I mean? Would you look at this market and go, "Yeah, everything's fantastic right now. Brilliant. It's the best thing I've ever seen in my life." But I still think short term we're going to be good because we're getting a lot of liquidity into the markets, and especially to the USA. And USA is a conflict economy. And if this thing ends before the 2 to 3 weeks, if they can end this thing between 2 to 4 weeks, because I look, if you look at Trump, right, he's never a prolonged conflict type of person. That is the one thing I will say about him. Now, the problem with him and what he said is that he set himself a pretty impossible task to do full-blown regime change. And the midterms are coming and all that kind of stuff. So whether he'll stay longer term, if not, if he'll make a deal, if he will use that as a win, who knows, right? But all we know is that I've done an amazing show today. And I need some likes and hearts and follows and do all the things that you're on, because who else talks about these things on the live, especially on the TikTok, especially on all this time? I've given you charts, I've given you theories, I've given you reports, I've given you whole $1 billion talks, the whole thing on that side. And I'm sitting here just looking at what's going on. And if you guys want to check out what's going on, it's very, very simple. I would highly recommend, this is going to be a shameless plug for everyone that wants to understand no financial advice, right? If you want to do that, I want to show you something. It's really, really important. And I expect, this is an expect now. I'm going to expect this from you, right? That I will put this here, right? That everyone goes and checks out the links in my. We'll check links in my bio. You go here, you go down, you check out this WAP. It's free, and you can get in and check it out. There's also other aspects. So you go and check it out, see what it is. Understand. You get almost 90% of everything that you could possibly want from there. The only thing that's missing at the moment is the meme guy. He's on holiday, but he does some amazing calls and all that kind of stuff as well. Now, have you been entertained? Do I deserve a like? Do I deserve some hearts? What? Okay. TikTok just... TikTok is hilarious. TikTok just kicked me off the live for inactivity. Okay, well, cool. To you guys on the YouTube, it means a lot. I appreciate you all. You guys are incredible. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow or something like that. And check out the pro group. You know what to do. It's in the links in the bio. We can go from there. All right. Take care. Peace, love, affection, like I just.